Welcome to Open Tab. Today is July 13th, 2020, and today I want to talk about the hypocrisy in professional sports, particularly in the NFL and the NBA. Now, to start off with, before I get into this, make sure you share this video, subscribe, and I do realize that my videos are hitting over 20 minutes, but I feel like I'm putting a lot of good content in this. I feel as though it is worth the time that I'm putting into it, and I hope that it's worth the time that it takes for you to listen to my thoughts on the subject. Now, I realize that this is kind of an older topic to go back to Drew Brees. If you don't know the story behind Drew Brees is a quarterback for the New Orleans Saints in the NFL. During an interview, and we're going to listen to some of this, he shared his thoughts on why he will never kneel for the national anthem. So we're going to listen to this. It's about a minute long from this interview for the first tab. And remember, this is Open Tab. We're going to go through about 20 tabs today before we close this out. So like, subscribe, especially share, and give me your thoughts on the issue as well.
I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s, and everyone and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
Okay. He said a lot of good stuff there, and you can disagree with it if you want, but he has the right to an opinion, even if you disagree with it. Now, personally, I don't really care for the opinions of actors, people in Hollywood, professional athletes, because that's not why I'm interested in them. I'm interested in professional athletes for the abilities and the skills that they have in entertaining us through physical competition. I like certain actors or actresses because they are good at playing a certain role. That's it. I don't care about your views on politics. But what Drew Brees here said, there is nothing in this that I disagree with. I think that his personal story behind why he stands for the flag and for the national anthem, the emotion that he feels from that experience, and the fact that, yes, I think he is correct. Of all the things that we have to be divided on, we are all Americans. And it should be the one thing that we can be united on, is that, yes, we are all in this together and we all are a part of the solution. Now, on top of that, let's take a look at the type of guy that Drew Brees is. And this is before all the backlash that he ended up facing after making this statement. Drew Brees, this was in March of this year, pledged $5 million to Louisiana and plans to deliver 10,000 meals per day. He's sacrificing for the community that he plays for. Now, I'm not saying that giving money, and I'm not saying that giving statements is evidence of a person just being a genuinely good person, but there's more evidence to suggest that he is that than to suggest otherwise. Now, what kind of feedback did he get from the media and other athletes about this statement? Well, Malcolm Jenkins, who is Drew Brees' teammate, stated, basically, I'm going to just summarize this. He said, "It's unfortunate because I considered you a friend. I looked up to you. You're somebody who I had a great deal of respect for." He's speaking in past tense here. "But sometimes you should shut the F up." Okay, that's his teammate saying that. And then, of course, you have LeBron James, who has to chime in on a lot of things, but only certain things that are, and we'll get into that. LeBron James said, "Is it still surprising at this point? Sure isn't." What, as if you expect that from Drew Brees? People in his own community in New Orleans, who he has pledged $5 million towards helping during COVID-19, were chanting "F Drew Brees." Okay. Now, there were quite a few more athletes that commented on this. But what did Drew Brees end up doing? He caved in and he apologized. Now, what I think is really strange about the United States right now is that we are so concerned about diversity, but the one type of diversity that we don't really care much about, and I think it should be the one we care most about, is diversity of thought. The left wants everyone to think within the parameters of a certain box, and if you are outside of that at all, then you are outside of it entirely. And we can't have that. We cannot have diversity of thought. And so, because of this, what did Drew Brees do? He apologized. And he didn't just apologize once. He apologized twice. He apologized once, and then he clarified his apology in a video that he shared on Instagram. In his apology, he said, "I am sorry, and I will do better, and I will be a part of the solution, and I am your ally, and I know no words will do that justice." Now, he apologized, but do you think the apology did anything? Well, Eminem and Kid Cudi did a track together, and during part of that, it's around 1 minute and 53 seconds into the track, Eminem states in the song, "I had hoop dreams, now I shoot threes, got a lil green, but I don't do weed, perp Norlean, that's Tunchi, that's New Orleans, F Drew Brees." Drew Brees, before Drew Brees got to New Orleans, the Saints were a very much a struggling football program. He has made them a Super Bowl contender since he has been there, and brought hope to the city of New Orleans and pride to the city of New Orleans. And as soon as he shares his opinion about standing for the national anthem, that is the reaction that he gets. And even after his apology, this is what he gets from Eminem. F Drew Brees. Now, what else did he get for his apology? Okay, well, Shannon Sharp, who is a Hall of Fame tight end. He played for the Denver Broncos and the Baltimore Ravens. He's now a commentator on a show on FS1, Fox Sports 1, with Skip Bayless. And this was his response. This is what he said about Drew Brees' apology. He said, "He issued an apology, but it's meaningless. The guys know he spoke his heart the very first time around. I don't know what Drew is going to do, but he should probably go ahead and retire now. It will never be the same. Take it from a guy that has been a leader in the locker room for a number of years. They will never look at him the same because he spoke his heart. So that is why you should never apologize to the left. Your apology is meaningless to them. Even if it is a sincere apology, they don't care. They don't want your apology. They want you canceled. You help your community, doesn't matter. You apologize once, doesn't matter. You apologize twice, doesn't matter. You should never apologize to the left. They are vampires. And vampires need an apology. Sorry, vampires need an invitation, just like leftists need an apology to get into your life. And once they're in your life, they're not just going to take a little bit of blood, they're going to take all of it. They don't want just a little. Once you give a little, they want more. Okay. So I realize this story is about a month old. Now, since then, since all the George Floyd riots, not protests, riots have been going down, the NFL has tried to fix this by talking more about possibly having Colin Kaepernick be a voice of diversity in the NFL. People have been advocating for him to actually have a spot as a quarterback. The NFL has even, during week 1, the NFL is going to have the black national anthem played, which if that isn't divisive, I don't know what is. I didn't realize that every culture in the United States should have their own national anthem. I thought it was our nation's national anthem. So the NFL is really trying to fix things because of what is going on in the United States right now. But then we have Deshaun Jackson, and that's really why I'm sharing this. Deshaun Jackson is a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. And just a few days ago, Deshaun Jackson shared what he thought was a quote by Adolf Hitler about Jews. And it was very anti-Semitic. In another post, he also praised Louis Farrakhan, who has been labeled as anti-Semitic for his statements about Jews. Now, I'm not going to read this because I don't want this to get blocked at any point from me saying it. So I'll just have it up on the screen so you can read it. But this is what Deshaun Jackson shared. Okay. Now, he did get some negative backlash. I'm not going to deny that. People did go after Deshaun Jackson for what he shared, but he literally shared a quote that he thought was by Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler. Mark Lamont Hill tweeted, "This Deshaun Jackson story is wild. Apparently he posted a quote that he believed to be from Hitler. This is disappointing and disturbing. There's no defending it." Are you sure about that, Mark Lamont Hill? Because let's go back to what Shannon Sharpe had to say about the issue. Okay, now remember, Shannon Sharpe was the one who said that Drew Brees should retire and that his apology was meaningless. Now, when talking about this on his show Undisputed with Skip Bayless, this is a story from the Washington Examiner. Skip Bayless is his co-host. And as they're talking, he said, he has made it clear over the years he does not like Jewish people. Speaking of Louis Farrakhan. Skip Bayless, a co-host of the FS Sports debate show Undisputed, said of Farrakhan. And then, well, I'll just continue reading. "Well, not from the conversations that I've had with the minister," Sharpe responded. "He's made it clear. Anybody that sat down with him, he says he doesn't." Bayless pointed out that the Anti-Defamation League has designated Farrakhan as anti-Semitic and read off several quotes from the religious leader about Jewish people. He supported Obama. Obama did not love it, Bayless said. Then, once Obama got elected, Farrakhan criticized him as the first Jewish president. Sharp countered by bringing up anti-Semitic statements made by Representative Ilhan Omar after she complained in Congress it was all about the Benjamins. They jumped all over her, Sharp said. President Trump said the exact same thing. You guys won't vote for me because you care about your money and you can't control me. He said the exact same thing. Nobody said a word. Now, to me, that does not sound much like a condemnation of what Deshaun Jackson quoted. Now, he said that, according to Shannon Sharp, that, well, not from the conversations that I've had with the minister. He's made it clear, anybody that sat down with him, he says he doesn't. Talking about Jewish people. Well, here's some quotes by Louis Farrakhan, and there's quite a few out there. But here are a few quotes from Louis Farrakhan's Savior's Day speech. He, from this article, states, he told the crowd that the white people running Mexico are Mexican Jews, and went on to say that Ukraine, France, Poland, and Germany are controlled by Jews who take on the culture, the money, the business of those countries. Later on in the article, he told the audience the Jews have control over those agencies of government, particularly the FBI, and in life, when you want something in this world, the Jew holds the door. But according to Shannon Sharp, Louis Farrakhan is not anti-Semitic. Not from the conversations I've had with the minister. He's made it clear, anybody he sat down with, he says he doesn't. Okay, so that's Shannon Sharp's reaction to what Deshaun Jackson said. No, you should retire. No, that you've totally lost respect for the guy. Now let's go back to Malcolm Jenkins, the guy that told Drew Brees that he should shut the F up. To Deshaun Jackson's post, he said, we got to stay focused. All of this back and forth that's going on right now is a distraction. Comments were made and they were wrong. Allow those who were impacted it to voice their grievances, but we've got to stay focused because Breonna Taylor's killers are still not arrested. We still fighting for justice. We got a lot of work to do, and this ain't it. Stay focused. Where's the rejection of these ideas? Where's the condemnation? We got to stay focused. All of this back and forth that is going on right now is a distraction. There's no shut the F up to Deshaun Jackson. It's just totally dismissive, and that's all it is. It's just next topic, move on. So what did just Deshaun Jackson do in response to this? Well, he was like Drew Brees. He was forced to apologize. In his apology, he said, I just want to, first off, extend an apology on behalf of me and what I stand for, he said in an Instagram video. I never want to put any race down or any people down, and my post was definitely not intended for anybody of any race to feel any type of way, especially the Jewish community. Well, then who was it for, Deshaun? Who was it intended to put down? If it wasn't intended to put down anybody, then I'm pretty sure that Hitler wasn't like the go-to source for being uplifting, which is what he said he was trying to do. In a follow-up statement, the second-round pick of the 2009 NFL Draft added his intention was to uplift, unite, and encourage our culture with positivity. That's a great source to go to, Adolf Hitler, in order to uplift, unite, and encourage our culture with positivity. Good one, Deshaun. I just want to first off, say you're so well spoken and that it was so well thought out. But let me go back to what Shannon Sharp said about Drew Brees' apology and see if that fits here. What did he say? He issued an apology, but it's meaningless. The guys know he spoke his heart at the very first time around. Take that, interpret that how you want. Now, Deshaun Jackson is trying to take steps to remedy this, to at least improve his public image. Now, Edward Mossberg, who was in a concentration camp, how old is he? He's in his 90s. But he invited Deshaun Jackson to visit Auschwitz with him, and Deshaun Jackson accepted. Now, I do think that's a good thing. I'm not going, whether it's genuine or not, even if it's just a PR thing to fix his image, it is the right thing to do. But let me ask this question, and this is not meant to be a controversial question to ask, but why haven't we torn down Auschwitz? There's reasons that why people would say that we should. I mean, it was built by Nazis. It was used to exterminate Jews, homosexuals, gypsies, any other groups that the Nazis felt were a detriment to their cause. But do you know why we don't tear down Auschwitz, even though it was used for all those things? Because now it is used as a tool to teach ignorant people like Deshaun Jackson, to teach them the history of the German people, of what the Jews went through, of what real oppression is like. And within people's lifetimes, like there are still people alive today, like Edward Mossberg, who went through this. We are not so far removed from concentration camps. And so we use Auschwitz and places like this as a teaching tool. Now, why would we tear it down? We wouldn't. We shouldn't. We should keep Auschwitz and places like it around to teach about history. So why is it, and this is kind of going off on a tangent for a moment, but why is it then that we are so eager to pull down monuments and statues in our own country, when instead of tearing them down and just erasing them from history books so we don't trigger people and we don't make people feel oppressed by history that they never experienced, instead we could use those monuments and statues and the names of places as teaching tools. Yes, our country did go through these things, and yes, these men or these women did do these things or had to go through these things. But look at the steps that our country has made towards progress, actual progress. Even Condoleezza Rice. This is from the Washington Examiner. Condoleezza Rice, don't sanitize history by taking down monuments. In this article, she states, I'm a firm believer in keep your history before you, and so I don't actually want to rename things that were named for slave owners, she said. I want us to have to look at those names and recognize what they did, and to be able to tell our kids what they did, and for them, and to have a sense of their own history. When you start wiping out your history, sanitizing your history to make you feel better, it's a bad thing. So yes, I think it's a great thing that Deshaun Jackson is going to Auschwitz. I think it's a great opportunity for him to learn and to actually educate himself. But to end this tangent, I also don't think we should be tearing down monuments and statues of people that have questionable pasts. Even if it was General Robert E. Lee, I think we should still keep those statues to teach about history. We don't raise monuments and statues to people for the bad things that they did, even if they are not perfect people. We build statues and monuments to people to show the good that they did and to teach about them. Now, back to Deshaun Jackson. He did have a few people call him out in the media, but where were the usual voices when it came to calling out this type of behavior? It didn't come from Shannon Sharpe. In fact, Deshaun Jackson had some people support him. Now, one of the typical people that you would expect to hear from is LeBron James. Now, but when it came to LeBron James, silence, crickets. Do you hear them? It's the sound of LeBron James trying to call out oppression. Oh, but wait. Cha-ching! There's not that sound that goes along with it, so LeBron James doesn't speak out. Now, let me back up and explain why I think that is a true statement. Last year, the NBA was doing some preseason exhibition games in China. Now, during this time, protesters were in Hong Kong marching against the communist Chinese government, who was threatening to curtail their rights and their freedoms. At this time, the Houston Rockets, their professional NBA team, in case you don't follow sports, the Houston Rockets general manager, Daryl Morey, tweeted this out. Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. Now, this article from Yahoo Sports says, that was it, and that was enough. Apparently, China went crazy. It reportedly pulled sponsorship money from the Houston Rockets, which, due to former player Yao Ming, is the most popular team in the country, banned media coverage of Morey, and ended any cooperation between the Chinese Basketball Association and the franchise. The NBA quickly caved. It apologized to China, calling Morey's statement regrettable, and noting that it deeply offended many of our friends and fans in China. Morey himself walked it all back. Rockets star James Harden added his own sorry, even though he had nothing to do with anything. We apologize. You know, we love China, Harden said. And then LeBron James opened his mouth because, of course, he had to smooth things over with his Chinese overlords. And I find it ironic because in this quote, he mentions freedom of speech. And yet that was the thing that Hong Kong protesters were marching for, was to maintain those rights. He said, we talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you're only thinking about yourself. That's an ironic statement too. I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke. And so many people could have been harmed, not only financially, but physically, emotionally, spiritually. So just be careful what we tweet and what we say and what we do. Even though, yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negatives that come with that too. Okay, LeBron, you could have just ended with, so many people could have been harmed, not only financially. Just stop financially, because we get it. You don't want to lose a chance to get a paycheck from China. Okay? We get it. You could have just stopped with people could have been harmed financially, particularly me. Okay? But he's not going to do that. He's not gonna actually speak out against China because there's something in it for him. Even though, and this is from PBS, the Chinese government is expanding detention camps in an effort to suppress the Uyghur Muslim minority in Xinjiang, China. Now, I'm not going to go through all the slides on this, but this does a great job of showing you what the Chinese Communist government is doing to the Uyghurs in China, a minority Muslim group. At least 1 million Uyghurs have been interned since 2017 in more than 85 identified camps with Xinjiang, an autonomous region in northwest China, according to Western reports. Most of the construction happened between 2017 and 2018. Earlier I said we are not that far removed from concentration camps. And guess what? We're not removed at all. They do exist, still to this day. but companies don't want to speak out against it. And the people that you look to for entertainment, professional athletes, despite their political leanings and their activism, they will never speak out against China because money is more important to them than lives of people that are actually oppressed. Because they don't want to sacrifice that. They don't want to sacrifice their paycheck. So this is total bullcrap. Believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything. Well, if you really believe it, LeBron, if you really believe it, Shannon Sharp, if you really believe it, Malcolm Jenkins, then speak out about actual oppression all the time. Don't just pick and choose the oppression that you want to speak out about. I get it. It pays to be a victim. Look at Colin Kaepernick. He was a second-rate quarterback, couldn't hack it in the NFL. People figured out what kind of quarterback he was, and as soon as defenses figured him out, he wasn't worth keeping on a roster. But he realized, I can make money by being a victim. You're not oppressed. You're blessed. You live in a country that allows you and affords you the opportunity to make millions of dollars playing a game. You are not oppressed. You are blessed. And if you're going to speak out about oppressed people, well, if you are an oppressed person, you have to be the right type of oppressed. Otherwise, you'll get no backing from Hollywood, from the NFL, from the NBA. So if you are a professional athlete, either speak up all the time or shut up and dribble, or shut up and catch a ball, or shut up and throw a ball, or shut up and hit a ball. Whatever it is that you do, just shut up and do it. You make millions of dollars to play a game. And then you have this, and this is what's kind of ironic. Because up until literally an hour ago, the NBA store, and I did this myself. I was going to put it in the video, but the NBA has updated their website since then. You could literally go and order a custom jersey, and you could put things like America sucks, and it would let you order it. You could put in defund the police. It would let you order it. Beware of Jews. It would let you order it. But if you typed in free Hong Kong, it would give you this. We are unable to customize this item with the text you have entered. Please try a different entry. You're not oppressed. You're not. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world, and other countries aspire to have what we have. When the protesters in Hong Kong were marching last year, they were literally singing our national anthem. So I'm going to leave this as the final tab for the night. And remember, athletes, they're not role models. They're just entertainment. They're hypocrites, and we shouldn't be listening to them to establish our own belief systems and our own opinions. We need to educate ourselves.
The rock has red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night, that a flag was still there.
This tab is closed.
Oh, say the stars sprinkle, then I yet wait. Oh, the